In the quiet of a small, dimly lit hospital room, I sat alone, holding a crumpled piece of paper that felt like it weighed a ton. The words "stage 4" stared back at me, cold and unyielding. I had just turned 25, and this wasn't how I imagined my life would go. The doctors had given me a grim prognosis, and all I could think about was how alone I felt in that moment. My family was thousands of miles away, and the friends I thought I had seemed to vanish into thin air when they heard the news. I was truly alone, or so I thought. As I sat there, trying to process the devastating news, a soft knock at the door startled me. In walked a familiar face, but one I hadn't seen in years. It was Jamie, my childhood best friend, who I had lost touch with after high school. He had always been there for me, through every scraped knee and broken heart, but we had drifted apart as life took us in different directions. Seeing him now, in this moment of utter despair, felt surreal. Jamie didn't say a word. He just walked over and wrapped me in a tight hug. It was the kind of hug that said more than words ever could. He stayed by my side that night, and every night after, as I began the grueling journey of treatment. He was there through the endless rounds of chemo, the sleepless nights, and the moments when I felt like giving up. But there was something more to his presence, something I hadn't noticed before. One evening, as we sat in the hospital room watching old movies, Jamie reached out and took my hand. It was a simple gesture, but it sent a wave of warmth through me. I looked at him, and for the first time, I saw something in his eyes that I had never seen before. A depth of emotion that went beyond friendship. He leaned in and whispered, "I've always been here, Alex, even when you didn't know it." It was then that I realized Jamie had been in love with me all along, and I had been too blind to see it. In that moment, everything changed. I felt a surge of strength and hope that I hadn't felt in months. Jamie's love gave me a reason to fight, to believe that there was more to life than just surviving. But as we navigated this new territory, I couldn't help but wonder what the future held. Would we make it through this together? Would I ever be able to return the love he had shown me? The journey was far from over, and the twists and turns were just beginning. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Jamie became my rock, my constant in a world that felt like it was spinning out of control. He was there for every doctor's appointment, every late-night emergency, and every moment of sheer terror when we didn't know what the next test result would bring. His presence was a beacon of hope, a reminder that I wasn't alone in this fight. But as our bond deepened, so did the complexity of our relationship. One afternoon, as we sat in the park near the hospital, Jamie turned to me with a serious expression. "Alex, there's something I need to tell you," he said, his voice trembling slightly. I braced myself, unsure of what he was about to reveal. "I've been keeping a secret from you. I've known about your diagnosis for a while now. I overheard your doctor talking to another nurse, and I couldn't bear the thought of you going through this alone." I was stunned. Jamie had known all along and had chosen to be by my side without me even asking. It was a level of devotion I had never experienced before. But there was more to his confession. "There's something else," he continued. "I've been struggling with my own identity for a long time. I've known I was gay since we were kids, but I never had the courage to tell you. I was afraid it would change everything between us." His words hit me like a wave. All this time, Jamie had been carrying his own burden, his own secret, and he had chosen to support me through mine. It was a humbling realization, and it made me love him even more. But as we navigated this new territory, I couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. I had been so focused on my own struggles that I hadn't seen the pain he was going through. As we sat there, the sun beginning to set, I took Jamie's hand and looked into his eyes. "I'm sorry, Jamie. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere." It was a promise, a vow to stand by him just as he had stood by me. And in that moment, our bond grew stronger, more unbreakable than ever before. But little did we know, the challenges ahead would test us in ways we never imagined. The journey was far from over, and the twists and turns were just beginning. As my health slowly improved, Jamie and I found ourselves in uncharted territory. Our love for each other grew stronger with each passing day, but so did the challenges we faced. My family, who had been distant and unsupportive throughout my illness, suddenly decided to make an appearance. They arrived unannounced, filling the small hospital room with an awkward tension that was palpable. My mother, always the picture of stoicism, looked at Jamie with a mixture of confusion and disapproval. "Who is this, Alex?" she asked, her voice cold and distant. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. "Mom, this is Jamie. He's been by my side through all of this. He's my partner." The room fell silent, the weight of my words hanging heavy in the air. My father's face turned a shade of red I had never seen before, and my mother's eyes widened in shock. "This is not what we raised you to be, Alex," my father said, his voice trembling with anger. "You're sick, and you're confused. This is not right." His words cut deep, but Jamie's hand in mine gave me the strength to stand my ground. "I'm not confused, Dad," I replied, my voice steady. "I'm in love, and Jamie has been here for me in ways you never were." The room erupted into chaos, with my parents hurling accusations and threats. They stormed out, leaving Jamie and me in stunned silence. It was a harsh reminder of the world we lived in, a world that wasn't always accepting of love that didn't fit the mold. But in that moment, I knew that our love was stronger than any obstacle. We would face this together, no matter what. As the days turned into weeks, Jamie and I found solace in each other's company. We laughed, we cried, and we dreamed of a future where we could be together without judgment. But the world had other plans. One day, as we sat in the hospital cafeteria, a nurse approached us with a grim expression. "Alex, there's something you need to know," she said, her voice heavy with concern. "Your parents have filed a petition to take over your medical decisions. They're claiming that you're not in a sound state of mind to make them yourself." The news hit us like a freight train, threatening to derail the progress we had made. But we were determined to fight, to stand up for our love and our right to be together. The battle was far from over, and the stakes were higher than ever before. With the threat of my parents' petition looming over us, Jamie and I knew we had to act fast. We reached out to every resource we could find, from legal aid to LGBTQ support groups. The outpouring of support was overwhelming, a reminder that we were not alone in this fight. But as we prepared for the battle ahead, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled in the pit of my stomach. One evening, as we sat in our small apartment, going over legal documents, Jamie turned to me with a look of determination. "Alex, there's something I need to tell you," he said, his voice steady. "I've been doing some research and I think I've found a way to challenge your parents' petition. But it's going to be a tough fight, and I need to know that you're with me every step of the way." I looked into his eyes, seeing the strength and resolve that had carried us this far. "I'm with you, Jamie," I replied, my voice unwavering. "No matter what happens, I'm with you." And so, we began the arduous process of building our case, gathering evidence, and preparing for the court battle that lay ahead. The day of the hearing arrived, and the courtroom was filled with a tense silence. My parents sat on one side, their faces set in stern disapproval. Jamie and I sat on the other, our hands clasped tightly together. As the judge listened to both sides, I couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and hope. This was our chance to prove that our love was valid, that we had the right to make our own decisions. As the judge delivered his verdict, the room held its breath. "In light of the evidence presented," he said, his voice echoing through the courtroom, "I find that Alex is of sound mind and capable of making his own medical decisions. The petition filed by his parents is hereby dismissed." The room erupted into cheers, and Jamie and I embraced, tears of relief and joy streaming down our faces. We had won, but the battle was far from over. The journey ahead was still uncertain, but we knew that as long as we had each other, we could face anything. In the months that followed, Jamie and I continued to navigate the challenges that came our way. My health improved, and we began to build a life together, one filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. But as we looked back on the journey that had brought us here, we couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at how far we had come. One evening, as we sat on our balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky with hues of orange and pink, Jamie turned to me with a soft smile. "You know, Alex," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I thought I was alone for so long, but you were always there, even when I didn't know it. You were the one who gave me the strength to be true to myself, to embrace who I am." His words brought tears to my eyes, a reminder of the love that had carried us through the darkest of times. "And you, Jamie?" I replied, my voice choked with emotion. "You were the one who stood by me, who gave me the courage to fight. You were the one who showed me that love can conquer anything." As we sat there, the world around us fading into the background, I knew that our journey was far from over. But I also knew that as long as we had each other, we could face anything that came our way. Our love was a testament to the power of resilience, of hope, and of the unbreakable bond that had formed between us. And so, as we look to the future, we invite you to join us on this journey. Subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and comment down your favorite part of the video. Together, we can share stories of love, of hope, and of the incredible power of the human spirit. Because in the end, it's the love that binds us, that gives us the strength to overcome any obstacle. And as long as we have each other, we know that we are never truly alone. With the threat of my parents' petition looming over us, Jamie and I knew we had to act fast. We reached out to every resource we could find, from legal aid to LGBTQ support groups. The outpouring of support was overwhelming, a reminder that we were not alone in this fight. But as we prepared for the battle ahead, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled in the pit of my stomach. There was something else bothering Jamie. I could see it in his eyes, even though he tried to hide it. One evening, as we sat in our small apartment, going over legal documents, Jamie suddenly stood up and paced across the room, his expression tense. "Alex, there's something else you need to know," he said, his voice wavering. I braced myself, unsure of what he was about to reveal. "I've been getting these anonymous messages, threats actually. Someone knows about our situation and they're trying to intimidate us. They want us to drop the case and disappear." I was shocked. The thought that someone would go to such lengths to tear us apart was terrifying. But Jamie wasn't done. "There's more," he continued. "I think it might be someone from your family. The messages mention details that only someone close to you would know." The room spun around me as I tried to process this new twist. My own family trying to sabotage our happiness was a betrayal I hadn't seen coming. We decided to take matters into our own hands. With the help of a tech-savvy friend, we traced the messages back to an IP address that belonged to my uncle, my mother's brother. It was a staggering revelation, one that added another layer of complexity to our already tumultuous journey. Confronting him was our next step, but we knew it wouldn't be easy. The day we visited my uncle's house, the air was thick with tension. He answered the door, his expression guarded. "Alex, Jamie, what are you doing here?" he asked, his voice laced with surprise and a hint of guilt. We stepped inside, determined to get to the truth. "We know about the messages, Uncle," I said, my voice steady. "We know it was you." His face paled, and for a moment he looked like a cornered animal. But then, something unexpected happened. He broke down, tears streaming down his face. "I'm sorry," he choked out. "I was trying to protect your mother. She's been so worried, so afraid of what people will think. I thought if I could scare you off, it would make things easier for her." It was a moment of raw honesty, one that revealed the deep-seated fears and prejudices that had been tearing our family apart. But it also opened a door to healing. We talked for hours, laying bare the pain and the love that bound us together. In the end, my uncle agreed to stand by us, to support our fight against my parents' petition. It was a turning point, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is always room for redemption and understanding. With my uncle's support, we felt a renewed sense of hope. The battle ahead was still daunting, but we knew that we were not alone. We had each other, and we had the love and support of those who truly cared for us. The journey was far from over, but we were ready to face whatever came our way, together. As we stepped into the courtroom on the day of the hearing, Jamie and I held each other's hands tightly, drawing strength from our united front. The room was filled with a mix of allies and adversaries, but we kept our focus on each other and the love that had carried us through this storm. My uncle sat behind us, a silent pillar of support, his presence a testament to the transformative power of understanding and acceptance. The judge entered, and the room fell silent. My parents' lawyer presented their case, painting a picture of me as a vulnerable and confused individual, incapable of making sound decisions. It was a harsh and unfair portrayal, but we were prepared. Our lawyer, a fierce advocate for LGBTQ rights, stood up and began to dismantle their arguments piece by piece. She presented evidence of my improved health, my clear mental state, and the unwavering support of Jamie and our community. She spoke of the prejudices that had driven my parents' actions and the harm they had caused. And then, in a powerful moment, she called Jamie to the stand. Jamie took the oath and began to speak, his voice steady and filled with emotion. "Your Honor, I've known Alex since we were kids. I've seen him at his best and at his worst, and I can tell you he is stronger and more clear-minded than ever. He's not confused, he's in love, and so am I." He turned to look at me, his eyes shining with unshed tears. "We've been through so much together, and we've come out stronger. Our love is real, and it's valid, and we deserve the right to make our own decisions, to live our lives on our terms." The courtroom was silent, the weight of Jamie's words hanging in the air. My parents looked stunned, their facade of righteousness crumbling in the face of such raw honesty. The judge listened intently, her expression thoughtful. After a recess that felt like an eternity, the judge returned with her verdict. "In light of the evidence presented," she said, her voice clear and firm, "I find that Alex is of sound mind and capable of making his own medical decisions. Furthermore, I find that the petition filed by his parents is not only unfounded but also driven by prejudice and a lack of understanding. It is hereby dismissed." The room erupted into cheers, and Jamie and I embraced, tears of relief and joy streaming down our faces. We had won not just the legal battle but a victory for love, for acceptance, and for the right to be true to ourselves. As we left the courtroom, hand in hand, we knew that our journey was far from over, but we were ready to face whatever came next, together. In the months that followed, our story became a beacon of hope for others in the LGBTQ community. We shared our experiences, our struggles, and our triumphs, encouraging others to stand up for their rights and their love. We started a YouTube channel, a platform where we could reach out to those who felt alone, who needed a reminder that they too could find the strength to be true to themselves. And so, as we look to the future, we invite you to join us on this journey. Subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and comment down your favorite part of the video. Together, we can share stories of love, of hope, and of the incredible power of the human spirit. Because in the end, it's the love that binds us, that gives us the strength to overcome any obstacle. And as long as we have each other, we know that we are never truly alone. Our journey has been a testament to the power of resilience, of hope, and of the unbreakable bond that has formed between us. We thought we were alone, but we found each other, and in doing so, we found our strength. Our story is a reminder that love, in all its forms, is worth fighting for. And no matter what challenges come our way, we will face them together, side by side, just as we always have.